Hi there, this is Dan Zehr from Coffee with Kenobi, and you are listening to the Rebel Base Card Podcast. Great pull, kid.
This little one's not worth the effort. Come, let me get you something.
Everything's gonna be all right, kid.
You found the Rebel Base Card Podcast.
She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid.
I'm your host, Greg McLaughlin.
Have I made a few bad decisions? Sure.
We talk about cards, collecting Star Wars, and to people in the Star Wars community.
Don't worry, we're gonna meet up with some friends of mine.
Look for special episodes called The Breakfast Pack, talking about your favorite Star Wars shows.
We will never have a better chance than this.
All right, let's get started.
Well, perhaps it is time to begin again.
Welcome back, or if this is your first episode, welcome aboard. My name is Greg McLaughlin, and this is the Rebel Base Card Podcast. Hey, Happy New Year, everyone, and it's 2025, and I can't believe I'm saying that. But if you follow the podcast for any length of time, you know that right around this time is S.T.E.A.M into Star Wars, and that is the brainchild and the passion of one Mr. Tom Gross over in Washington Community High School in Washington, Illinois. So I'm going to have a conversation with Tom Gross about S.T.E.A.M into Star Wars right after this.
You can waste time with your friends when your chores are done. Now, come on, get to it.
Hi, this is Mark Newbold from Panther Tracks, and you're listening to the Rebel Base Card Podcast. Great pull, kid.
All right, just a couple of homestead keeping notes before we get into our conversation with Tom Gross. Later this week, on Wednesday, January 8th, Star Wars High Tech debuts. This is the first Topps release of the year, and it may be one of the few, if you kind of considered last year, we didn't have that many sets. We only had about 3 or 4. So this one's going to be a little more on the high end. So this is a hobby box that contains a pack of 20 cards for around $1.99. Now the cards are a little more solid. They're not just paper. They almost feel like a plasticky type feel to them. They're real nice, and I was able to get one of the preview promo ones from our friend Adam Marks over at Garbage Chute Droids. He brought back one from New York Comic Con last fall, and it was pretty sweet. But I'll be kind of looking for maybe some of them to kind of come on the secondary market. But just to kind of give you and remind you of the breakdown, there's 100 base cards, around 6 insert sets, which include some numbered parallels, autographs, and of course, sketch cards. I think the box breakdown is kind of like 2 numbered parallels, 14 base pattern, 2 base pattern 2, 1 base pattern 3, and 1 base pattern 6 per box on average. And like I said, some may contain like a sketch card or an auto, or you might get some high numbered parallels, so be looking for them. But like, once again, this is a more of a high end set, so it's not something I usually kind of dive into, but I'll be interested in seeing some of the card designs. I liked what I saw. I think I got a Shin Hati one. That was the promo card that I got back from New York Comic Con from Adam, and I'd like to see kind of more of them. So I'll be kind of like poking around, kind of looking and seeing what's happening after this set gets released. All right, pre-orders also went live for the next release of Star Wars Unlimited. That's called Jump to Lightspeed, which debuts on March 14th. I go to Flipside Gaming, and there I'm going to put a pre-order page link in the show notes on the description of the podcast, so you can go to it as well, or you can just go to Flipside Gaming. What I like for this go-around, this is, I think, the 4th release. They already have some pre-built deck boxes. So for like $34, you can get like a 2 deck box that's going to have like 50 cards each, some exclusive hyperspace parallels of, I think, Han Solo and Boba Fett, and I think you get a booster pack in each of those boxes. I ordered a pre-release box which has more boosters in it because I'll probably be trying to do a lot more of the draft events, and that means I'll be picking up cards and kind of building decks from there. But you can also pre-order booster boxes. I know a friend of the show, Greg Cass, likes to get those and hold events. Maybe one of these days we can do like a special show where we kind of crack open some packs and kind of take a look at stuff and kind of give our instant take and reviews. That'd be a blast. I'd really like that. At any rate, what I like is there's a little bit something for everyone, whether you get a deck box set or pre-release box or booster box, a starter box. And then some stores, a lot of times, will just sell individual packs if you kind of want to check it out beforehand. I also saw that they reprinted a lot of the Spark of the Rebellion. So when you go to a store now, it's not like when this game first came out last year where it was hard to find stuff. Now you can find this product more readily available. Twilight of the Republic came out last November, and it introduced some new things as well. But still, you can go to these stores. You can go to Steam and learn how to play. But I find it's a very nice game. I can't wait to start playing again, and it should be a blast. Anyway, that's going to be on March 14th. Of course, if you pre-order now, you'll get it when it comes out. And lastly, and I don't usually say this enough, there are 2 new designs that went up in the TeePublic store. I'm terrible about promoting my own stuff. But TeePublic is kind of fun because I've been able to put up a lot of the show logos. Of course, we changed the logo this year to go with Series 2 of Empire Strikes Back. So it's a subtle change from last year, but it's kind of fun because each year of the podcast, we change the logos to kind of match the release order. And so I wanted to make that available in the store if someone was kind of looking to help support the show or just wear some cool swag. You can have your pick of any of the logos, the old ones, the new ones, what have you. I have a lot of other designs in there as well. I did a C3D2 because back in the day, for whatever reason, they phonetically spelled the names of C3PO and R2D2 and kind of intermixed them. Now it's just, you can just see the letters. But back then, around the New Hope time, you saw it a lot intermixed, especially on the cards and stickers. And so I kind of made a funny little takeoff of that in the kind of like the design of the old sticker. And then, of course, we've got the Series 2 logo up for Empire Strikes Back for the Rebel base cards. So there's also some music ones. I always kind of like try to throw up some new stuff. A lot of times I make these into stickers as well to kind of throw them into swag packs. Or just if I have an idea for a design, it's kind of fun that TeePublic is a great outlet for it. So anyway, I'm going on about it. But if you want to help support the show, you can check out TeePublic and see if there's something that you wouldn't mind actually wearing. All right. I think that's about it for homestead keeping. Let's get into my conversation with Tom Gross about S.T.E.A.M and the Star Wars 2025, and I'll see you on the other side.
Hey, everybody, this is Ro Gazga from the Scare of Scuttlebutt podcast, where it's always sunny, and you are listening to the Rebel Base Card podcast. Let me do it again.
Man, he's going to nail that in one take. Nope.
Nope, that's not me. All right.
We're in attack position now, sir.
Hold here.
We're not going to attack.
I have my orders from the Emperor himself. He has something special planned for him. We only need to keep him from escaping.
All right, welcome back. Tom, it is so great to have you on the show once again, just to see this. And I think when we talk about S.T.E.A.M and the Star Wars, I can, when we in back and forth in the emails and in the text messages and all that, I can see, the joy and just the love and the care you put into it. But it's nice when I get to see you, at least in Zoom, because I get to see you grinning from ear to ear, because I know that the kids down there have really got something going. We are less than a week away at this point by the time that you probably hear this, but I am excited to talk, and I'll be excited to be there in person. But let's talk about S.T.E.A.M and the Star Wars. And for those who haven't had a chance to know what S.T.E.A.M is all about, give me the elevator pitch for S.T.E.A.M and the Star Wars, because you've had to do this many times with the school officials.
I have, and thank you so much for having me on, Greg. And as always, thank you for your participation in S.T.E.A.M and the Star Wars. You are a big part of our event, and it's always great to have you down there. The podcasts are what make this show very unique. So S.T.E.A.M and the Star Wars, we are a one-day event that we host at our high school. It is largely planned by students with my guidance, and that's part of my job as a teacher and librarian, is to guide the students. And so we put on this one-day event. This year it is from 9:30 to 2:30 in the afternoon on Saturday, January 11th of the coming up, just right around the corner for us. And so this is an event where, as I promote it, it is bring the whole family kind of event. It is a free to attend event where we have, as mentioned, the podcast recordings with Dan Zehr and Coffee with Kenobi, to Greg, you with the Rebel Base Card podcast. And then we have, again, we're fortunate in our Washington area to have another wonderful podcast here in town, the Hyperion Hub with John Alois, Sean Degenhart, and John Redling Schaefer. And so all three of you will do a live recording at the event where people can sit and watch, and many of you invite the audience to participate as well. But at the event, We have local authors like Andy Zach and Jay Lawson, WCHS alum Olivia Bennett will be there, along with our resident Dan Zehr, who is author of the Star Wars book and the recent released Star Wars Encyclopedia. We also have artists there that bring their art, some of Star Wars art. Some of it is other just general popular art. One of my favorites is a local father of a student that goes to our high school, where he does collage art. And I think you've talked to Chris Grimm before on the Rebel Base Card podcast. And so we have that. But then we also have other creators. It is STEAM into Star Wars, STEAM standing for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. I also toss in reading and writing, which is why our authors are there. But so we have creators like Jamie Leonard of D20 Dinner, who's a dice creator. And she'll have her dice there, and she has her equipment to show you how that process is made. We also have some new terrain builders that will be there. We'd love to have you come and see how they create their terrain for your role-playing games or for other types of games that you might be playing at a tabletop where you want to have some specialized terrain or buildings or things like that. Our public library is there. They will have two booths. One booth, you get to make buttons and learn about what the public library has going on. But then on the other booth that they have, they will have a couple of robots that you can drive around a maze, and you code them a little bit. One of them you kind of drive, the other one you code it to go through the maze. It's a ton of fun. Let's see. Our local robotics team, our high school robotics team is there on hand for students to show off their robotics robots from the past. They'll also talk about their program and how their season looks. This year, we have our local school, St. Patrick's, will have their first Lego League robot team there. And these are the teams that they build robots from first Lego kits. And then they are given a task to complete on a large table. And then they take that to competition. And so their team will be on hand to show off what their task is this year. They'll be mid-season. So I'm sure when they are there, they're going to be practicing. They're going to be using that robot. They're going to want to be showing that off to problem solve and fix and do all the things that they need to do. So that'll be a ton of fun. One of our consistent vendors is Zeke's Comics and Games, our local game store. He has been with STEAM into Star Wars since year one. And by the way, this is our Rise of Skywalker year because this is year 9 for STEAM into Star Wars. So Zeke's has been with us. Zeke's will have game demos as well as his own booth with his materials, comics and games and other products that they sell at the store from local vendors. And so he'll be there. So a couple of new things that we've got going on this year. First, if you are in the area and you want to do trivia with a Star Wars expert, okay, and that Star Wars expert was already named, that would be Mr. Dan Zehr, host of Coffee with Kenobi and author of the Star Wars Encyclopedia, as well as the Star Wars book, among other books that he's worked on. He will be running Star Wars trivia at our event. So this is a fundraiser for our game club, because our game club not only is a game club, but we do a summer camp. We love to have scholarships for students to be able to go to our summer camp at a low or no cost. And so this is a fundraiser for us. We're doing 10 tables, 6 people per table for $30. To me, that's pretty reasonable. You can also buy mulligans because Dan's going to have some really tough questions. Mm-hmm. And even though we're Star Wars experts, he's a different level than most of us, at least for me. And so I'm selling mulligans as well. So if there's a question in a round, or maybe there's 2 questions in a round that you're like, I have no idea, you can mulligan those questions so you don't get counted against on those. So I'm selling 6 mulligans, 1 for each round. It's 6 rounds, 10 questions each. And so, again, it's a fundraiser for our game club. If you are in the area, we'd love to have you register for that. And I'll tell you where you can do that in just a little bit. But we have a new organization with us this year. Actually, they were there last year, but they're here this year in a new capacity. It is Tabletop Gamers for Good, which is an organization that runs pop-up game conventions. And then all of their proceeds go to a non-for-profit. So this year, they're going to host a pop-up convention at our STEAM into Star Wars Day. And all of the proceeds, they will take donations. There's no charge necessarily to get in, but they would love to collect donations. And again, those donations go to support our WCHS Game Club and our RPG Summer Camp. But Tabletop Gamers for Good will have over 300 games that you can just come in, take a break, take a load off, get a game out with friends, or meet some new people and play some games. They will be on hand. If it's a new game for you, they can help you get that game started so that you're not sitting around spending your entire time trying to figure out how to play the game. So they'll be there. Then Zeeks and Tabletop Gamers for Good are collaborating to put together a Star Wars Unlimited sealed event.
Hooah.
Greg, you will know what that is. I think it's you just get packs, you open them, and you make decks. Is that correct? Okay,
Correct.
You're not trading or passing a deck around. But $25 for the sealed event. All of those proceeds also go to our WCHS Game Club for the events that we do. Registration will give you a six booster packs of Star Wars Unlimited cards that you'll use to build a deck of 30 cards for competition. Then you'll be paired with other players for the tournament. If you've never done this before, like me, you might want this description. But registration also includes a meal ticket because we will have concessions at S.T.E.A.M and Star Wars, and the tournament will go over the lunch hour. So I've got your lunch covered if you participate in this tournament. And they will have raffle prizes for the tournament that include exclusive promo packs, rare showcase cards, which is, to me, from what they've told me, that's what makes the trip worth it, and other Star Wars products. If you have never played Star Wars Unlimited, but you're like, this sounds cool, promo packs, that sounds like a lot of fun, they will be doing demonstrations of how to play Star Wars Unlimited beginning when the event opens at 9:30. And they will do that for the first half hour, which will give you a chance to kind of get your feet wet, learn the cards, learn sort of the mechanics of the game. And then the event begins at 11 o'clock. So actually it gives you an hour and a half. I was thinking we were starting the event at 10. So they start the event at 11 o'clock. So you get an hour and a half to sort of demo the game, try it out. You can walk around Steam a little bit, get your mind clear, come back for the tournament and have a great time.
Whew. That's a lot.
I know there's a lot of stuff I still missed, but you wanted the elevator speech, and they gave you the elevator speech for the Willis Tower in Chicago.
Well, one thing is that this show, like you said, you're on year 9, and it has expanded year after year. The thing that folks may not realize is that when you come like me, coming on the floor, and this is in the multipurpose room in the high school with the gaming wing out towards the gym. But if you walked in there not really even thinking about the Steam portion of it, you would see, the 501st have a table set up and wandering the floor, like making sure people get pictures and so forth. You see an artist and author alley where you can go through and talk to not only just makers, creators, and writers and artists, but these are locals like Cameron Johnson who give back by coming year after year to this. And they set up just like they would at a con. And then, of course, you have with the vendors like with Zeeks. And I think, last year there's even, was it Peoria Comic Con, or there was right across from Zeeks that was talking about
Peoria Comic Con.
Right, coming up. And so this is no different. And then, of course, with the podcast stage. And, what was nice is that, very early in the podcast, I got to come down, and it's a much different thing when you're like, it's one thing when we're kind of doing this over Zoom. It's another thing we're doing it in front of folks, but you're giving that, and then also with that alum that also does the voice work, and then he was doing like story time.
Wow.
You've got all these folks that are coming back that are creating this event. And, we normally, like for us, it's like traveling, whether you're going to Japan this year for Celebration or you're going up, like you'll be like in years past when you went up to Wisconsin for GaryCon. People are used to traveling great distances to go do a thing. And, maybe you have to get a hotel room or maybe not. But with the fact that this has grown, it's like you're getting a full con experience for free. And there's also, it expands. And now you have all this extra gaming. But also, everything's wrapped in. So folks from around the area who want to come in, and especially during this time of the year where there's not going on, it's cold, but you're getting all this, educational stuff, all the stuff where it's just like, it really inspires you to kind of like, man, I want to do some stuff, or I want to see this. And there's so much that is there that
without you and your volunteers, this kind of thing doesn't happen. And if you want something like that, you're gonna have to travel for a large distance if you live in that area to go do a thing. This is happening in your own backyard.
Yeah, and when we talk about being a central location right in the middle of Illinois, we're 3 hours from Chicago, 2.5 hours from St. Louis, 3 hours from Indianapolis. That's a drive, but it's something you can do in a day. And you get to participate in a Star Wars community. And as you mentioned, not just the Star Wars community, but, a convention feel with the artists and the authors. You get to talk to people like that and see people like that. And with our concessions, we've got, things that you can have all day long to keep you nourished and going. And hey, if you love sports, our boys basketball team will be playing at that afternoon. And actually, they'll be playing all day from freshman, sophomore, and or JV and varsity. They'll be playing that day. So if you want a break from Star Wars, I don't know why you would need that, but if you need a break from Star Wars or the game convention, you can walk over and catch some basketball over in our main gym. But there's a ton of stuff to do, tons of people to meet. I mean, hey, you get to meet Greg, you get to meet me, you get to meet Dan Zehr, Cameron Johnson. Fingers crossed he'll be able to make it to that. By the way, Cameron Johnson is a WCHS alum. We love it when our people come back. The voice actor that you had mentioned, Will Crouch, he is a WCHS alum, and he will be there on hand. And so tons of stuff to do. And it is a family event. So you mentioned, we have the story time area. We have crafts for kids to do. And there's a new craft every single half hour throughout the afternoon. So there's lots of stuff for people to do all day long. You can make it a full day event to make it worth a drive like that. And Peoria is right next door. If you want to stay, if you want to get a good dinner before you head on home or use one of our local restaurants in Washington, that would be awesome as well. I know they would appreciate that.
You were talking before about the added gaming experience, and one of the things I would say as far as like that, this a sealed tournament, which is nice because as a new player, as I kind of like discovered the game last year during its debut. Some of these events really help someone learn how to play because just like any card collectible game, right? You can pick up the packs whether you buy a booster box or whether you just buy single packs, or you buy pre-built decks off of eBay. But the nice thing about a sealed and even in the functionality of the game, they made different versions of the game so it appealed to folks who like to build bigger decks of 50 or 60, or you could do these 30 card decks where essentially you open what you're going to play with. And like in the case of the ones that I was doing, the draft events, where you set in a certain order, you'll open up a pack and you'll take a card and pass it along. And so even a well-seasoned player can only play with what they end up getting. And that yes, they will most likely still beat you, but there is a greater chance that, because everybody's got in the same boat, you have no idea what you're going to draw. And then, in the ones that I played in, a lot of folks will just kind of help you through it. Like, oh, hey, you're doing this. That's what kind of made it nice and a little more inviting. And, a lot of things will appeal to you as a Star Wars player because of like the leaders you get or the locations, the cards you get, or the different, like ground units and space units. Like later this year, I think you have the Lightspeed release that's going to have more ships. Right now we're in Twilight of the Republic, and so they did 3 releases last year. They already have it mapped out, and so each release kind of adds a little bit to it, but you can still get those starter boxes. I think you got a starter set at some point. You can get the boosters and things like that, and so you could really, and there's even an online portal you can play at that allows you to play for free. And so to have that there and it's very typical when I do a draft event, it's usually like $20-25, which is nice because the cards that I pull, I keep. And then there's usually like a little promo pack. And I know that I think I'm donating a mat to the cause, whether or not the custom one shows up or not is still out of there, but you're going to get a mat. You're going to get a carrier for that mat, but it's kind of fun because then you can go on Etsy. You can buy all the accessories you need from FFG, or I know some of the ones that support it, or you can go on Etsy and, support a maker by getting some custom, tokens and whatnot, and even some mats. And that's what makes it fun, because there's a little bit of community that's all helping in. So I'm excited that is going further. And you had other games. You were talking to Dan Ream about the Fire Tower or something, where you're going to be running a game. Sounds like Dan's going to be running a game. So there's a lot of stuff there, even if you don't like the Star Wars card games.
Yeah, Tabletop for Gamers for Good. Like I said, they'll have 300 games, and I've been to their pop-up cons before. Just about anything you want to play, from collaborative games to like large. If you're into like the 3-4 hour games, you got all day. And you can even take a break and walk around and enjoy yourself a little bit, and then make an agreement to time to come back and finish that game up. They've got the quick little games that take 15, 20 minutes, all the way to those 4 or 5 hour games. Everything that you would want. And like I said, they'll be there to help you get started if you've never played the game before, but you've looked at it. Let me tell you, one of the classic games that they have there that I absolutely love is Star Wars Outer Rim. It is a competitive game. And if you love Star Wars, you will love this game. You get to play as a bounty hunter, like Hondo Anaka, or I'm trying to think who else is in this, Cad Bane, Boba Fett, and you get to complete bounties, and you get to negotiate with other people at the table. And man, I'm such a sucker. I trust people way too much. They always get me. But it's a ton of fun. But they'll have several Star Wars games there on hand if you're wanting to try some new Star Wars games that you've never done before.
Expanding the hours, I think, was also nice, because I think that is a nice draw for folks who, even if they want, they're not from the community, they want to drive out. There's a lot there. And once again, if you look at the convention, ticket prices, Gary Con's another one. Even for a spectator badge, it's gone up. It's like about $40 just to come and check it out. Although Gary Con is awesome to kind of go up and look. So in this case, you're getting in for free, but you're also getting a much fuller day. Like I said, with Dan Zehr doing the trivia contest and having more content. It's only just asking for it. And what's great, because this is, the volunteers, your kids, this is a Saturday. This is not a school day. And so they're adding more time. And so I think it's so great that there's more room to grow for this great event.
Yeah, that's one of the things we've always done every year, is tried to find how can we add to this to make it more of an enjoyable experience, to make it worth your while to make a drive. Instead of just coming and being like, oh, after 20 minutes, you walk around like, oh, I kind of seen everything. Mm-hmm. Here, it's a smaller space, so you can't see everything very quickly, but this gives you an opportunity to explore. Plus, we have lots and lots of things to do throughout the entire day. Oh, shoot, there was something I was going to say that based on what you said, but it'll come to me. But I did want to mention that if you do plan on coming, one of the special things that we started a couple years ago, and Greg, you've played a huge role in this. If you know you're going to come to this event, go online to our website, and I'll give you the link to how to find that here in just a bit. But go register for the event. There's no charge to register for this. In fact, you don't even have to register to come. Registration really is just to give us an indication of how many people should we be expecting for concessions and things like that. So we love it when you register, but not required. But I do give you an incentive for registering. You, my sir, have been so gracious over the this is your third year, I think, doing this, or is it fourth? I don't remember now.
I think it's third.
Third year. You have designed for us convention badges. And every year, the kids are so excited to see what the new convention badge is going to be. And so if you register, we will get you convention badge with the badge holder and a lanyard that you can proudly wear around the event. Becomes collectible. I've got kids in our community that have been collecting them, and I've got one student who's told me, "Oh, Mr. Gross, I've gotten all of the badges." And I've said, "Are you sure about that?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I had one of the vendors gave me one of theirs at the end, and I got one from one of the podcasters and the workers and blah blah blah." And I said, "Wow, you did a really nice job." But I said, "You don't have them all." They're like, "Well, no, I'm pretty sure. What one don't I have?" And I said, "Mr. McLaughlin makes me a special one as the superior Jedi or the whatever
Grandmaster Jedi."
Emperor. And so I have a special one. And so that was a lot of fun. But I know I've got kids out there that are collecting these, which I just think is so cool and just a ton of fun. So if you're planning on coming, register for everybody in your group, and we will have a badge here waiting for you when you come. And so I just want to make sure. Do you want to tell us what this year's design is based on?
So one of the things I did last year was, and it came really late, was I did a sticker. I did a S.T.E.A.M sticker. I'll probably bring in some of the extras with because they came really late. But I was looking for something to kind of like tuck into the lanyard. And the whole thing of doing a lanyard, and I kind of borrowed this from the S.T.E.A.M cons that I got to go, Rogazga and the Red 5 network do here, was we started doing these lanyards because when you're going to a con, it's one of those nice souvenirs you get to take home, that kind of like something that I can, wear around. I could put buttons on it, I can customize, but it was a nice little fun memento of it. And so it's kind of evolved over the 3 years, but I wanted to take last year's sticker design had the old Kenner card back from the action figures. And so I kind of took that one step further. I said, well, I've already kind of got that template up, because I'd gotten that years and years ago where I had the elements that make it look just like one. So I had been interested lately, like one of the shows that we've done recently where I had Sal Berry from Puck Junk talk about the late 90s Comtech figures, which, these are the figures that had a little chip, a little RFID chip that, on a reader would make a sound. It would do different voices from that character, even though it wasn't the voice, but it was sort of an 8-bit. And, for $19.99, it was pretty dope. So I got some figures in because, okay, the Phantom Menace stuff wasn't necessarily that, that they made a lot of that stuff. And so the figures were pretty cheap. And so I was like, hey, I would like to do a card back design for this year's badge, because we had, like you said, we had 5 different main ones. Padawan for the kids, and you've got the Imperial Volunteer for, like the volunteers, and then the Jedi Archivist for the presenters, and then I think the Galactic Citizen for adults. And so I just was like, I'm going to take some of these Phantom Menace figures that come in with the Comtech chips, and then I'm just going to use them as it. And so I have them a figurine that these are, I bought these, and then they're on the card back. And so to try to make them a little different, so yes, they kind of have a look of a Star Wars figure that you would have owned maybe back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but also S.T.E.A.M themed as well. So it's just each year you try to do something a little different. But like I said, it's something fun. And when I heard that you had there was a student that was collecting them all, I made a special one for that student last year, a Galactic Collector one. And when I was doing my ones this year, I had Chancellor Valorum is our Galactic Collector for this year. And so if that student or anyone is trying to go after all the master set, as it were, there is one that's already pre-made, so I don't have to bring it down special. It's already there, just waiting to be collected, and hopefully not thrown in the trash. But it happens. It happens.
Yeah, no, those are phenomenal. And like I said, the volunteer kids, they know them. They're asking questions pretty early on. And I was like, what? I should probably touch base with him and see what we got going on. But no, that's added a level of fun for everybody to have a badge of their own, and it's been a ton of fun. So, and I cannot begin to tell you how grateful I am for you to, like I said at the beginning of the show, for you to attend and let me have this opportunity. So let me tell people where they can get more information, and if they want to pre-register, where they can do that. So probably the best way to get to the website that has the registration form on it, there's 3 social media platforms that we are currently using. On Facebook, you would go to Washington Community High School District number 308. There is a Facebook event on that page that you can find our link to find information about S.T.E.A.M to Star Wars. The library, the high school library, has a Twitter X account, and that is at WCHS_308 library, that I am posting information on, and all of my posts will have the link to the website, which, by the way, is a brand new website created by a student, and I'm really excited to showcase that and her work that she did on that. She's my teacher assistant for the year, and so she came into this knowing that she's going to be making doing a lot of work for S.T.E.A.M, and she created a new website for me because she just didn't like the way the old one looked. And I said, that's fine. You make an awesome one for me, and we will use it. And then on Instagram, the library also has an account there. We are WCHS 308 Library on Instagram. The link to the website is in the bio of that account, so you can find that there. When you go to the homepage of the website, you will see right there in the front where to register to be able to get the badge when you show up, and we'll be waiting for you, and we'll have your name and your badges all ready for you when you get there. You also have the registration for the Star Wars trivia there. And so you can go ahead and register your table on the website there. It is only online registration. I might be able to take a registration if we have a table available at the event, but let's not plan on that, and just purchase that table in advance. And then the last is the Star Wars Unlimited tournament. You will register at the event for that. So bring your money for that to participate in that 1 year there. So, I always look forward to this time of year. I'm always happy when it's done. But as I've mentioned here before, my favorite moments are once 9:30 comes on Saturday the 11th, and people start coming into the front door, and I watch my 50, 55 plus volunteers just doing their stuff, and I get to stand back and watch and just sort of enjoy the time. And the best part is I've never really ever had any issues to where I've had to take action. I get to sit back and watch and just enjoy, get to visit with you, get to be on some of the podcasts and the recordings. I imagine you might find me playing a game, or at least observing some of the games going on over where the pop-up con, where Tabletop Gamers for Good, or checking out some demos at Zeke's. I just love it when it happens, and I love it even more when we get to put it all away and everyone goes home happy with their badges and memories that they've made at S.T.E.A.M into Star Wars.
Oh, and for someone like myself, like I said, to have gotten involved very early in doing what I'm doing, and to be able to have a little space there to do my podcast in front, and that's an experience and an opportunity that not a lot get. Like you have a lot of folks now that are talking about getting that celebration podcast stage, or if they're doing one there, getting the opportunity to do that. It's not something one can take for granted, but also to have something like that's a convention that you go like, yes, there's so much good that's happening here. And then when you see just what the kids have done, and I think I kept one of the little signs they had that pointed towards, they had my name, they had my podcast name on it. And I was like so proud. I go, man, that's so cool. But to see it continue to grow and go through, like a couple of lean years with COVID, and it's one of those where it's very easy to go, nah, it's too much work. But to have those kids get the opportunity to go, this is your baby. How many other times will you get to go, to plan something out from start to finish and really give something back to the community that, like I said, it's in the middle of January. It's a time when it's cold, and not a lot of folks are really into driving several hours to go to a pop culture event. Here's one that's happening in your backyard with so much more and concessions. I'm excited. I want all right, possibly some coffee, maybe some pizza, or maybe other stuff as well. And now it's like, all right, I'm going to do my show. That's why I wanted to do it early. I'm like, I want to get my show out of the way early, because I may be finding myself over eyeing some of the Star Wars Unlimited stuff. Because that's fun, and then we get a chance to get together and get to see. I love it when I see Tom happy, because when Tom's happy, we've all done our job. When Tom gives that sign of like, yes, we all did a good job, and then you can just ride that for the rest of the year. What a great start to the year as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned your podcast. I was going to share with everybody if they wanted to try to make it there for your podcast. You are high time in the early morning, I do with quotes. 10 o'clock is when Rebel Base Card podcast will go. At 11 o'clock will be the WCHS Drama Club. They are putting on a play this spring that is a mashup of Princess Bride and Star Wars. Ooh. Don't ask me. I don't know much about it, other than they're going to do some scenes on our podcast stage from that play to promote the play, and that'll be a lot of fun. Coffee with Kenobi is over lunch hour. coffee with Kenobi. You might have to have a coffee with your pizza. Yeah, I don't know, maybe not. But Dan Zehr will be going at 11:30, and at 1 o'clock on the podcast stage will be the Hyperion Hub for their podcast. At some point in there, I'll have Will Crouch doing his story time up on the podcast stage, where he does all of his voices from the Clone Wars or whatever book it is that he chooses. It's always quite enjoyable. So, yep, the schedule's there on the website as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Alrighty. Well, like I said, we have gotten a lot of information in a short amount of time. And one of the reasons why we do this year after year, do this preview show, is that during the event, we're not going to try to bother Mr. Gross. Mr. Gross is really, really busy. But it's fun because we can kind of sit back and have this time and kind of talk about it and just really get excited for it. Like I said, if you are within striking distance, even more of a reason to come out. Because it doesn't start at the crack of dawn. You've got plenty of time to get there and plenty of things going on, and I think you're really, really going to enjoy it. Anyway, until then, I can't wait because here in about a week, I will see you in person, and I'm excited. Yes. But I just wanted to say thank you for coming on. I know you gave all the links to S.T.E.A.M, but on yourself, online, where can people find you?
Oh, sure. Well, being the librarian at the high school, any of those social media accounts, I put things that our game club and our book club are doing, as well as the library. But on a more personal note, on Twitter, I'm at Draftline, but you can also catch me in a couple of different places. I'm a co-host of Teachers in the Dungeon podcast with my good friend Dan Ream, where we talk about RPG games with education, as well as we talk to creators, share our games, all those sorts of things on Teachers in the Dungeon. And then I blog as well on seeking positivity in the galaxy.
Well, I tell you, no one is as positive as you, and it's been a pleasure to get to know you over the years that I've gotten kind of into the community ever since we met at Celebration Chicago and got to hang out a little bit more at Celebration Anaheim, and of course, all the STEAM and Gary Cons in between with the occasional meetup. So just looking forward to shaking hands and getting a chance to talk where it's not on a mic and we're not on the clock. But anyway, until then, we're going to let you go and get ready for STEAM. Can't wait. And so the next time you'll be hearing from us will be at STEAM Into Star Wars 2025. Tom, thank you very much for coming on. I'm going to let you get back before Dan realizes I'll let you go. Both Dans, for that matter. Either one, I'm going to get in trouble if I don't let you go. You are the busiest man I know. All right. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Looking forward to seeing you, my friend.
All right.
I'd like to check out, refuel my ship, prepare for my immediate departure.
Once again, I want to thank my guest, Tom Gross, for being on the program tonight. It was a pleasure to get a chance to talk with him because he's going to be super busy come Saturday, January 11th. If you're in your area, it's worth it to go down. There's a lot going on there, and the fact that it's expanded now with so much more gaming and having a little more time, it's going to be worth it. And, hey, it's free. Anyway, I will be recording my show from there on Saturday morning at 10 a.m., Fingers crossed, wish me luck, and you will hear a STEAM after show. That'll be the next one on the main program. That'll be, number 177. That'll be released afterwards. So, all right, I'm going to let Card Squadron take it out, and we'll talk to you soon.
The Rebel Base Card podcast focuses on cards, collecting, and the Star Wars community, and appreciates you coming along for the ride.
If you have any feedback for this episode, you can reach out to the program in a number of ways. You can leave a comment on the Instagram post for this episode. You can also DM Greg on Instagram at Rebel Base Card.
Make sure to also follow the Rebel Base Card on Twitter and Facebook at Rebel Base Card. If you want, you can send an email to greg@rebelbasecard.com.
And you can find show notes for this and all episodes on the website rebelbasecard.com. In the Star Wars Card Trader app and just about every other one, you can find Greg at CornFedTech.
The Rebel Base Card uses the hashtag Card Squadron as a way to alert friends about cool cards and recent drops in the galaxy far, far away. It's a great way to bring our community a little bit closer together and help one another finish our sets in time. We collect, communicate, and commiserate. Well, at least when we run out of credits or crystals to spend on our digital collections. Join the fun, even if all the other cool squadron names were already taken. And remember, we collect as one, and would be honored if you join us.
And if you are a sketch card artist, or Star Wars artist or collector, cosplayer, and want to talk about your work, your craft or passion, drop Greg a line. I'm sure he'd love to hear your story. You can also help the show by leaving a comment or review on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you got this episode.
Otherwise, the mission is clear. Keep those cards out of the hands of the Empire, and the Rebel Base card will return soon.
This podcast is not affiliated in any way with Topps, Disney, or Star Wars, nor is it endorsed by Disney or Lucasfilm, and is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. All names and sounds and any other related items are properties of their respective trademarks and or copyright holders here in the U.S. and abroad. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com.
That's it.